Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Pop of Color Live, a music industry late night show for colorful bands and artists. I'm your host, Clara. I run Pop of Color, which is a music marketing and branding agency. This is my official Facebook page if you are watching on Facebook. If not, the archives are also available on my blog and on YouTube. I'm sorry I'm 5 minutes late airing tonight, but it's for a very good occasion, very good reason. I would like to show you my electric guitar got a makeover, and I realized at the last minute that I wanted you guys to be the first ones to see this. So, isn't it pretty? Sorry, I'm just really overcome. Okay, so this was the electric guitar I got in grade 10 at a garage sale, and it was orange. And I had a friend who gave it a complete makeover with my brand colors. You see the turquoise and the marble, and he redid all the frets and all the metal bits, and I'm just super happy about that. Anyways, tonight is going to be an episode that is themed as a Q&A. So luckily I've had people already send me in questions. Those are the ones in the description of this video. If you would like to submit a question, please let me know by commenting one below, and I'll add it into the description of the video after the episode is done airing, because once again, we are live. I would like to start with the news tonight, like I do every night. And with that, I'd like to kick off by wishing friends of Pop of Color, Bandzoogle, a happy 15th birthday. You grew up so fast. Longtime viewers of the show know that Dave Cool was on the show as my special guest this past summer. So congratulations to his company for 15 years of helping build musician websites. Well done, Bandzoogle. Next up, a digital distributor called Record Union is leading a campaign to persuade streaming services to be able to label or flag independent releases as such. So you know how when you go into streaming services and music that's explicit has the little E icon? They want to have something like that for independent music so that it really stands out in the streaming service, in the system, and that people can really be supporting truly independent acts. Oh, I found a really cool stat with that. 20% of global music share is from independent artists, so recognition, yes. Hello, Hamlet. So yesterday I found out the little Hamlet is a girl, so it's going to be Hamlet with double T's and E at the end. See, this is what happens when you foster cats who are tiny babies when you first get them. They grow up and then you realize you have to adapt the name. A couple more weeks and then they'll all be adopted. But right now they're wreaking havoc and claiming everything. Next up, for those of you who are using Spotify, a phishing campaign has been discovered in email. So this would be hacker emails being sent and targeted to Spotify users. What's going on, as it's been found, is that Spotify users are getting emails sent to them asking them to confirm their login details. If they click the link in the email, it is the hacker's copy of the Spotify website, not the actual Spotify website. If you log in on there, they will be able to see your email and your password. They can't really do too much damage with a Spotify account, because especially if it's a free account. Paid accounts, of course, they can access your credit card info. But what you should be wary of if you're using the free account and think this doesn't apply to you is if you use that same password on other accounts, you might want to change that or look into that, because just be careful. Don't use the same passwords across all your social media accounts, and don't click links in email. Spotify doesn't have a reason for you to confirm your confirm your account with them right now, so be careful of that. Next up, okay, yes. No, I have all the news this week. See, I take notes on the news the morning of, and then make little notes of things I want to say. If you ever come across a really interesting news story pertaining to the music industry, to digital marketing, please feel free to send it my way. I always have my email in the bottom of the description of this video. I love being able to hear different stories from different areas of the world. So now on to the questions. Thank you everyone who sent in the questions for this very special Q&A episode. Let's get started. So Melissa asks, if you pay a producer to create a track for you, record your vocals, mix and master everything, do you need to register them on the track and give them some sort of percentage in royalties with SoCan? You paid them for their services up front, but they contributed to the creative process. I hear in some circles you get a percentage of royalties just for being in the room when a song is written. Would love to hear your thoughts. All right, Melissa, to start with, SoCan, for those of you who are not Canadian, is the Canadian Performing Rights Organization. If you're in the US, it would be BMI, ASCAP, or I believe CSAC. And there is PRS in the UK, and different countries have their own. This is what ensures that songwriters get paid royalties every time their song is played, even if they're not the ones singing it. But it's also an excellent way to make royalties when you are a songwriter, not just a performing singer. What Melissa was talking about with getting an equal split when you are just in the room is referring to what's called the Nashville split. So in the world of songwriting in Nashville, so in country music circles, it's very common and very respected for lots of songwriters to be put in a room together. They've got one afternoon, write a song, all 3, 4 of them, and then they'll turn out a hit. And in order to avoid squabbles later down the line when the song is picked up by a singer, vocalist who doesn't write their own songs, to avoid squabbles that say things like, oh, I wrote more of the song. Yeah, but the bits I wrote were more important to the emotional impact. The rule is, however many people are in the room when the song is being written, that gets split evenly. So if you're 2 people, 50-50. 3 people, 33.333. If you're 4, 25, and so on. This is also where the old joke of the songwriter who brings his girlfriend in and she does nothing comes in. People don't like the girlfriend because she gets a cut even for doing nothing. So SoCan and other performing rights organizations pay the royalties to the composers, Society of Authors, Composers, and Music Publishers. And in the world of producing, in the old school days, yes, they would ask for percentages, but that's because in the old school days, there wasn't this independent music industry, and the only people producers were working with were selling records in the sense of major label artists, big name artists, and they were going to make money with the percentages from sales of the album that they worked on, sales of the singles. In today's day and age, one doesn't earn too much of their money they put into the recording back on streams. Most of it comes from different sources of income in the music industry. So producers would, especially ones who are going to be working with emerging artists, artists who aren't the Katy Perrys, the Lady Gagas, the Drakes of the world, they want to get paid for their time because they're like never, or it's going to take a long time to get paid back those royalties. So I recommend paying upfront, especially since, and this is something that a lot of people don't think about until it's far too late, is when you split your songwriting, you also split the ownership of the song. And what that means is now you need to ask whoever you split with for their agreement when it comes to opportunities with the song. As many of you know, sync licenses, so getting your song synchronized with picture, so that would be movies, TV shows, commercials. Those kind of opportunities are a really great way to make money in the music industry these days, because there are so many opportunities with Netflix shows, with YouTube shows, with all different kinds of places And the more people who are on the split, the more people you have to go and ask for, a music supervisor has to get the permission from. So not only is there a chance someone might say no, but also the longer it's delayed in getting a response, the more chance the music supervisor is just going to move on to the next one. Especially if music supervisors, they see that a song that where the one songwriter has the entire rights to it makes it so much more appealing to them, because it's going to be a much more simpler process if the artist submitted it, because they're likely to say yes right away, and then they can get that song into the TV series that needs to be out on Tuesday night. So yes, keep it as, I would recommend, Melissa, that you keep it as simple as possible. Pay the producer upfront the cash, and don't do anything with the royalties. I have a really good story about that if you would care to indulge me. I heard this when I megaphono from a music supervisor. So one of the artists on her roster is a singer, and his buddy made the beat to this song. So the buddy was not a professional musician, but his friend, the singer, who was on the roster of the music publishing house and music supervision kind of agency, was like, here, I'll give you 2% of the song. Thanks for making the beat, bud. You know, as a kind of a kind gesture and as kind of a joke, not really thinking things through. So at first, the music supervisors were like, ugh, this is a headache, because, you know, he's not on our roster. He's not a professional musician. This is more paperwork for us. But then the Super Bowl came calling, and a beer company wanted to use that song in their commercial. So thanks Super Bowl ad money, which is a big cha-ching. Like, this is the pinnacle for SIG licenses here. They asked the singer. He was like, hell yes. And then they're about to go when they suddenly realized, oh no, that singer only owns 98% of the song. The 2% that's left belongs to the buddy who made the beat. So they all turn to the buddy and say, hey, do we have permission to use this song in the Super Bowl commercial for this company? And he was like, nah, I don't really drink that brand. I'm gonna say no. So then they lost that opportunity and that paycheck, just because there was another split with someone who didn't have the same values as them, and who could have just simply been paid in cash. In this situation, it caused a big headache and a loss of money for the artist, for their publisher. So that is my little story with that. Next question I'm jumping into is this one is a combination of a question from Spencer, who's watching right now, and from Rachel concerning touring. So Spencer asks, when you are doing a gig in a place outside of your hometown, but also want to do a house concert for more income, is there anyone in particular you should be reaching out to? And Rachel asks, advice for an artist looking to book their first tour. So the first thing you'll want to figure out is, where are you going to go? It might seem obvious, but you want to go where your fans are. So a way you can figure this out, if you have a newsletter and people are signing up, get them, alongside putting their name, email address, is their postal code or approximate geographical area. If you are able to do a survey with your fans and figure out where they're from, or use analytics, that would be a great way to go. I believe I talked about this a while back, but I think it was AC/DC or Metallica that looks at their Spotify analytics and sees which songs are most popular in which cities, and that's how they decide which songs to play on the tour at that stop. Even if you're not Metallica, just knowing that you have a bunch of fans in this area would help you make sense of going, I should go to this area because there's more likely to be people who will pay to go see me there. This one, thinking of you, Spencer, when you said you wanted to do a house concert and a gig, is be aware of radius clauses and make sure that you're not going to lessen the amount of audience that comes to your concert when you are playing two shows very close together in geographical location and very close together in calendar dates. What this means is you don't want people to go, I won't go to this one, I'll just go to the next one, or not commit or not show up. So the way you can do this, if you're trying to do it 2 places that are close together and close in calendar date so that you don't have to go back and forth, is either pick wildly different environments or very different sets. So if you want to do an acoustics, you might do an acoustic set at the house concert and the full band plugged in at a venue. You might do a more rocking, lively set at the bar and a more chill, relaxed set at the house concert, something to separate the two to make fans have a reason to pick one or to go to both. If you know anyone in the area, that would be a great place to ask where you can crash. If you have friends, family, super fans, see if you can ask if you can stay with them. The latest interview I did with an artist who I'm working on, I'm going to be publishing the interview soon. She did her tour of Ontario by calling up her friends when she chose the cities and being like, can I crash on your couch while I tour? Chances are people are going to say yes. Just ask nicely. If you don't know anyone in the area but really want to do a house concert there are also networks on the internet for house concerts. So you can look into that if that is something that you really want to do. Though I recommend having a fan organize the house concert so that they can call up all their friends, they can vouch for you, and they'll be so excited that they'll do the promotion. If you are doing a multi-date tour, so home base, location, home base, aim for a circle shape, not a star that goes absolutely everywhere, because that means that you are spending gas unnecessarily, and when you overlap and don't really have a direction, it leads to more confusion. And don't forget that if you are traveling with a lot of instruments, you might not want to be on the road as long as you would be willing to be as a passenger on a road trip. When you're touring in different locations, don't forget, be nice to your fans, collect emails, thank the venues, create content if you're there. If you need stuff for social media, here's a great occasion. If you never know what to post, take pictures of you with the fans, take pictures of you with the venue. Here's something new, here's something exciting, film stuff. There you go. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Spencer, for that question. Hello, everyone who's tuning in. And hi, Leonard. Hi, Harkarat. So next question is from Jared. What are the most important things to put in a band agreement? So a band agreement is the kind of group handshake to legal document anywhere on that spectrum where that bands agree on the rules of the band, especially if they plan on going with this seriously. The best time to make a band agreement is before you start making money and the potential to squabble over who has what rises. In the description of this video, under freebies and news sources, I have the link to the archives where your question links to an article written by a music lawyer who I really admire, which is all about band agreements. So you might want to look at that one. I know you are not based in Canada, but I figured some of this stuff might be really good. And it's always best to ask someone who is professional on the legal side if you're really going to do it hardcore. But here are some general ideas to have an understanding of if you are in a band or if you're helping your friends out with their band. Who owns what? So this is everything from gear to the band name, the instruments, the merchandise. This is the person who fronts the money for the merchandise, own the merchandise, and so on. Who is responsible for what? Who's in charge of booking? Who's in charge of social media? Who is in charge of making sure all your music is registered on the paperwork side? Whose name can be who is allowed to sign checks for band expenses? Can any of you do it? Is there only the lead singer who can do it? Is there someone who's the one who pays for everything so that there's no disagreements? How are the songs split? Is it always the people who make the lyrics who make the songs? If you're a 4-piece band, are you gonna split the songs 4 ways regardless of who contributes? Nashville split, like I mentioned earlier, versus who contributes more. How is the money split? It might seem obvious to you. Yeah, we go to a venue and they pay us $100. We split it 5 ways because we're a 5-piece band. But what if the drummer gets a endorsement deal with a drum company? That's his money. Is it? Would he not have gotten that endorsement deal if he wasn't in your band? Should you do that? If someone else has a side project, if the lead singer starts acting, if any of these possibilities, you want to think out who gets the money in occasions where money's paid out to an individual, where money's paid out to the performers. If the band is playing an acoustic set, if it's just the singer who's singing that night, but he's singing the band's songs, does the money still have to get split? Think about that. What's up with the band name? Who decides on the band name? Can you use the band name if you are not all of the members of the band playing that night? Very important. What is the process for deciding on new members, and what is the process for kicking someone out? Do you have some kind of 3 strikes and you're out rule? Do you have some non-negotiables when it comes to, okay, this behavior is unacceptable, you're out, or this behavior means we need to have an intervention and talk down? And finally, how are decisions made? Does it have to be unanimous every single time? Does it have to be majority? In case of a tie, is there a tiebreaker? Do you have a mediator for if things really can't get resolved? It's always best to discuss these things while you're on speaking terms and while it's all a possibility before you're in the nasty. I believe Scott Borchetta of Big Machine Records, he's the CEO of a record label, but he phrased this kind of agreement when it came to record deals as negotiating the divorce before the marriage. So just to give you the sense of how awkward and ugly it is, but how necessary it is in case things go sour. Next question from Rachel. How does a band know when they are ready for a manager? When you have something to manage. No, in all seriousness, they will come to you because they will know that you're buzzing, and they will see it as great potential for them. Managers typically make 15% of whatever the artist makes, so as a result, it would have to be worth their time. So if you are making not enough for you to work full-time as a musician, it's going to be very hard to convince a manager to drop everything to make 15% of that and work as hard. In the olden days, 15% was very common and very standard and very acceptable because a manager's end goal was always to polish up the band and deliver them to the record label, and then when they signed the record deal and got this big $1 million check for advance and dropped on them, the manager would pocket 15% of that and it would be considered worth it. However, nowadays, it's not as First of all, record labels aren't just banding about $1 million advances like that. Second of all, fewer artists want to get signed or do get signed. So you either have to, if you're going to go on the 15% rule, you have to be making enough money for it to be worth it to a manager, or alternatively, you can pay the manager a salary so that they work the same amount for you and aren't as desperate if they're comfy with their income and are stable. Same as with Jared, in the archives of this late show on my blog, I have linked you to a quiz I wrote a while back that's Are You Ready for a Manager? Please check that out. I feel like that might help answer you some questions and I am happy to help answer if you have any more. My email's also in the description of this video. Next question. Oh, this one's from Leonard. Hi, Leonard. I know you're watching right now. How do you structure your workday when you control all the hours? So this is about my personal life. Because I work from home and live from home, I really need to make an effort to get out more, especially when the weather's miserable, but that's another story. I like to equate it to being a retiree, in a sense of, at first, when I first finished school and, when I didn't have a 9-to-5 job lined up, I was like, woo, endless summer, I can do whatever I want. A week later, oh my God, I can do whatever I want. It really, when you are your own boss and you're working from home, you don't have anyone to answer to. And it's a very strange and difficult transition. I'll be completely honest. I was lost the first little while. You don't have parents telling you what to do. You don't have teachers. You don't have a school structure. You don't have a 9-to-5 structure to your day. You don't have a boss who's leaning over your shoulder. So it's completely up to you what you make of your 24 hours a day. What I do is I have a to-do list. In fact, I will show you. So this is my big picture to-do list. As you can see, it's color coordinated. I have things in 3 columns. My pop of color column, which is all stuff to do with this blog. So that's everything from revamping my website bio, which I'm up to right now, scheduling my social media content. Then the second column is client work. So this is all for my private clients or things that are due for people. And then last is home life. So that's everything from sweeping to running errands, going grocery shopping, paying my phone bill. So this is the big picture to-do list. Then every single day I have a daily to-do list where I take bits and pieces from the big picture and I put them into the daily in places that make sense. So errands, for example, you want to go when the store's open, but then you also look at your appointment calendar, which is on that wall, which I like paper, or which has the things that are by the time, So at this time I have a dentist appointment, or, on this day there's this concert. And then I work around that and I create a daily schedule. I can update it halfway through the day if I need to. It's paper. It doesn't feel permanent, which I really like. And that's how I schedule my everyday. Because if no one else is going to boss me around, I'm going to come up with a system that is the most effective for me. Really, I think the most liberating thing when it comes to working and scheduling yourself is that you can pick your own hours, in the sense of some people are great working 9-to-5. Right now, I'm finding I like the sunlight a lot. So what I do is I work, I'm up 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. So this seems to be my rhythm right now, but who knows? Maybe in a few weeks it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, I feel like I'm staying up very late, but I'm sleeping in late, and that's kind of the balance I've got for going to what I do. Also, make sure you hydrate, eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, go outside once a day, even if the weather's miserable, because fresh air is wonderful. Thank you, Leonard. Okay. This is from Russ. Is it possible for an indie musician to make a decent living primarily as a touring artist? Well, don't rent an apartment. Okay, in all seriousness, Russ, if I think that so I am not a touring artist. I don't even consider myself a professional artist anymore. I'm retired. However, what I've noticed with the artists who are able to make a living from it, and from interviewing them and talking to them, is that these artists are all have these emotional connections with their fans. So their fans are their friends, are their family, and they flip the whole artist fan dynamic on its head to really phrase it as, how can I serve my fans? You know, they're for them. So it's telling their stories in the artist style. It's creating merch that the fans will love, not just that because it has your logo on it. Selling merch is also an excellent way to make money, by the way. It's really just changing the perspective to show that you are there for them. And that I've found is what makes the difference when it comes to having a long, solid career with fans who will follow and support and care about you for years. Question from Crystalena. What made you first want to sing? Well, I was raised on Broadway musicals and classical music. My first real foray into pop music was when I was a preteen and I would go into CD shops, and I didn't know any of the artists on the cover. I just chose by the pretty covers. So hence why album artwork is important for 12-year-old girls like me who have no culture. Anyways, so just singing around the house kind of like that, making up little songs like most kids do. And when I moved to Canada for grade 9, so that's 7 years ago now, because I'm 21 now, I started writing songs and singing because I felt like something was wrong with me emotionally, and I wanted to be able to put my finger on what it was. And I didn't know, I couldn't quite figure it out, but I found that writing about my emotions and singing about it was a release, and it helped me sort through my feelings. It turned out that this was the beginning of a long mental health struggle journey that I have been very open about. I have been very honest and very authentic about, and I still struggle to this day, but I just found that music and writing and just that human connection, that emotional connection, you can take pain, turn it into a beautiful masterpiece, and share it with people to try to spread a message, was what really made me fall in love with music in this way. Hope that answered your question. And last question from Autumn. What has been the greatest or something awesome you've discovered since you started covering the music industry that not a lot of people know about? This one's easy. This one's easy. I think it's discovering how good people are, how beautiful the world is, if that makes any kind of sense. But it's just like, I really felt that when I started covering the music industry, I first started when I was a musician to showcase that I was also good at the business skills, and I wanted to help my fellow artist friends. So that kind of like serving attitude, that kind of attitude to be able to deliver, and it's just to help as much as I can. I mean, I send birthday cards to my readers. Seriously, if you're on my mailing list and you give me your birthday, I send a card in the mail, and chances are it's going to be sparkly or shiny. But anyways, it was just discovering that you can ask for help, whether it be on the business side or with emotional stuff, with art. Just there's such a community aspect to music that I absolutely love. And it really opened my eyes to how good the world is, not just in music, but it's just as artists. And I still consider myself an artist. My art form is just different now. But that kind of human connection and that kind of creating of something emotional and packaging it into snippets of a masterpiece is just one of the most beautiful things about the human experience. And just that being able to share it with people. And working on the business side opened my eyes to that more than I found that working in the music side did to me. I mean, maybe that's maturity, maybe that's just getting older and meeting more people. I've met amazing people doing this for business, on business, and I'm just really grateful for all of you. And oh, Autumn says, you're retired, no new music? No new music right now. I might come out of retirement, you know, like a politician does. But for now, I'm very, very focused on business, being able to serve you, like with the artists who do that are able to sustain on tour. But it's just that kind of feeling of what can I do for you has made it so that this music is my full-time job, working here. Like, this is my apartment, this is my couch, you know, it's like I'm adulting in the music industry, you know, and that's all thanks to you guys, and thank you very, very much. Anyways, this is like, my heart is melting right now. I am so happy you all tuned in to let me ramble on about how my gratefulness, my gratitude. Have a wonderful week. We have 2 more episodes until I'm off until the new year. One episode is likely going to be on goal setting and New Year's resolution style stuff, but for music and for business. And the other one is likely to be on the inner workings of the Christmas music industry. Have a wonderful week. Be good to each other. Pick up some freebies in the description of this video by clicking on the archive link, and be excellent. Stay colorful. I'm Clara. I'll talk to you soon.